All right, everybody. So what we're going to do today is try to get the 460 and the 56 F100. We still got to finish making up our motor mounts, but we're going to place it in there and see what we have to do to finish fabbing these things up. So this one is all about it today. She's just been talking like crazy. She really wants to see it get in there just as much as I do. So I just got to pull the carburetor off and then put the lifting plate on there. I'll slide this thing over in front of the truck and pick her up and see if she'll fit. All right, so everything's getting set up. We just got to get a different chain. Since we put the accessory drive on, we don't know how this engine's gonna pick. If we pick it from the center hole, it might tilt forward too much. So we just gotta get a chain or a strap and see what we're gonna do to pick it. Yeah. Get it picked up and we'll wheel it over there and see how she's gonna look. We got the supervisor. You can see her. She's always watching. What do you think, Kitty? So it should clear the steering, no problem with this header. The only I'm worried about is the oil filter. We might have to run a relocation when we go to set it down farther. And I could tell already that we're gonna have to trim this firewall. It'll probably be the same depth as what it is already right here. So bring it in a couple inches. Plus that'll bring the engine farther back into the truck, which is perfect for more weight towards the center of the truck. Alright, so now what we got to do is trim the firewall. We just kind of roughed it out. So we're just going to trim it. We'll try to set this thing back in here. Get everything pulled out of the inside of the cab. So that way we can cut it from the inside. The only thing that's still in there is the swing pedal or the brakes, but that should be fine. I could lift it up and pull it out of the way. But yeah. The supervisor, she's been all about it today. Huh, Kitty? Freaking weirdo. Weirdo. dad recut the motor mounts that we made. So now what I have to do is take the chop saw, cut some plates. We're going to add some plates in there, finish up the motor mount brackets. And we'll be able to set the engine down on the Crown Vic front end. And then really what we're going to be able to do is see how everything's going to sit. So we'll be able to get the transmission kind of set in there, and then we'll build a bracket for the transmission bracket, and then reshape this firewall, which I told you guys in the last video. I had a feeling we were going to have to cut it, so I'm going to make it just like this one, just like the stock one, but just wider. And then I am probably going to have to run a different set of headers. I don't think those Sanderson block huggers are going to work, because this one right here, the way it sits, it kind of runs into the, sorry, you can't see my head, but it kind of runs into the frame rail, and then the other one, it's going to be really hard to see which one's going to work for the steering. I'm going to have to run a, I seen it on a Chevelle that I worked on when I worked for my buddy a while back. It had where it came out as a regular steering joint, then it came out hooked to the frame, and then came back. That way it had a different angle that came to it. So I'm probably gonna have to run that when we go do the steering on the truck. So what I'm gonna do now, like I said, is cut those brackets. We'll get this engine sitting down on the truck, and the weight of the engine really doesn't bring the truck down that much. I think he measured it from being up on these blocks. It was like 16, and it brought it down maybe 3/4 of an inch. So it's not much. So these Crown Vics can handle a lot of weight. So if I got to do another one or a couple of other trucks like the other 56 and then another one with a 6-liter Power Stroke, it'll definitely be able to hold this thing no problem. So let's cut these plates real quick. Plates are cut. I just got to clean them up, clean the edges up, and then weld them into those motor mount brackets, and then punch some holes in the center of them. All right, so he got the motor mounts tacked on. I was holding it so it didn't move. And now we just got to pull them off, and then we'll weld them the rest of the way, and then probably call it for today, because we're going to have to punch some holes in there. That way we can get it bolted on, and then we're going to have to run a gusset so they don't crack or anything like that. But it's looking pretty good. The next thing is, once we get this done, we'll kind of slide that transmission up in there and see how that thing's going to sit, because that's going to be our next thing. You see where the angle is going to sit for the drive line to the rear end. Got the engine transmission bolted together. The engine mounts are just kind of fabbed up. Now, so what we're going to do is repick the engine. That way it's not so tail heavy on the tail shaft. And I think my steering from the Crown Vic is actually going to be the one I need to use, because it's got all this funky twists and curves and bends in it. So the 460 is just kind of sitting in there. Got the motor mount brackets made up. So now I just got to make a gusset to fill this piece in right here. Let's make a gusset, then punch the holes for them, that we can bolt them from the bottom. And then I still got to figure out which steering shaft I'm going to use. If I'm going to use the one from the Crown Vic and get another piece, or just get on Summit and order up some pieces that have, I think it's like a little ball that this slides into on the other shaft and allows it to pull it over and then bring it into this one, into the steering column itself. I'm not really sure. I have to look into that better. I got to get some new rack and pinion lines, and then make up some hydro boost lines and some for the power steering. But before I can do all that, I still need to finish up getting this firewall fabbed up since we got it cut out now. So I'm gonna have to figure out where I want to finish cutting it and kind of round it and then make a nice shape for it. And then I do the same thing for the tunnel for the transmission, because the original piece is sitting in there. It's not too bad. I mean, I could bend it up and then just kind of shape this whole thing, but I'm probably gonna make a whole new piece and then kind of go around the engine and then also the transmission. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the brake pedal. I might have to move it over just a little bit, and then same with the accelerator. I'll probably have to kick it over a little bit so they're not so close together. We'll slide underneath the truck. I'll show you guys what's going on down here. So what we're going to do is just make up a bracket that goes from, you know, each side, because there's a mounting point right there. So I do have a bushing or a transmission mount coming. Still got to make a bracket so we can hang this thing permanently in the truck, and then have to figure out the linkage for like the kick down and for the selector. But she's coming along pretty good. I mean, really happy with the progress we made on the shop truck. Alright, if you guys did like today's video on seeing the 460 get put in the 56 F100, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, also the notification bell. That way you guys can stay notified on the next thing that we're going to do, the 56 F100, and that's finish building the transmission cross member and get some other parts put on the truck. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.